You are watching Toon Matrix. Spoilers ahead, watch out.
At the beginning of the story, we see that someone is bleeding from his head. The location is at a funeral hall where it seems that a fight just ended, and a young man is standing in midst of pile of dead bodies. While panting he says, "No matter what others call me, I will be the one to kill my father," and then he gives a death stare. Then we are shown a flashback. In a school, our MC is silently studying at his table, while at the back some of the students are bullying a kid. When the bullied kid was gone, the fat boy asks his mate to call back that kid again, so that he can get money out of him. His mate replies that the kid lives alone with his father in some shitty apartment, so what money would he have? Fatty calls him stupid and says that, the poorer the family is, the more their parents want to treasure and spoil their kid, and on top of that no harm is going to come at the bully if they steal anything from that kid, because his father has no power at all. Hearing this, our MC who was studying stops his pen. Fatty was shit talking about the bullied kid, that how he will gonna suck out all of the money from him, and the bully's mate were making fun of that kid. Our MC approaches the Fatty, and then Fatty asks if he also wants to take money from that kid. But our MC suddenly stabs his pencil in the Fatty's eyes, making him fall to ground and scream in agony. In the teacher's office, a teacher is scolding the MC and asks him why did he stab Fatty in the eye. He was so good at his studies and was not even the victim of bullying, so why did he do that? MC says nothing and stays silent. The teacher says that staying silent will resolve nothing, then MC replies that the Fatty and his mates were being loud. The teacher was confused by his reply, then MC replies again that the Fatty was being loud, and that's why he stabbed him. We came to know that our MC's name is Kang Pildu. When Pildu returned to his class and was focusing on his studies, the rest of students were murmuring among them that, how Pildu stabbed someone just because he was loud, and say that he must be a real psychopath. They nicknamed him Psychopath Kang Pildu. Pildu comments that, he don't care what people call him, he don't care what methods he use. If there is something he wants, he will get it no matter what. And that is how he was able to survive till now. A man comes in the office saying that it's almost time for the meeting, and we see that Pildu has now become a prosecutor, and he replies that he will be there to attend it. In the meeting room, Pildu is briefing about an organization known as Seonhwa Group. He says that they are a new company, so the members present here might not know them. They run a loan business, and now they are branching out to other sectors also, and they took in 500 billion in just profits last year, and they are growing scarily fast. Then the chairperson says that he don't really see a problem with them. Pildu explains that they look fine on the outside, but that's not really the case, and the Seonhwa Group is definitely not an ordinary company. They have absorbed the whole nation's gangs to expand their influence and power. But the problem is that as they grow in size, the number of crimes they commit also rises. They regularly blackmail and physically assault those who were in their way of business. And they do not hesitate to murder either. There is a reason why they are able to expand their influence despite committing all the crimes, because the person supporting them is a National Assembly member, Kang Pildu. He is technically the owner of Seonhwa Group and involved in all the crimes mentioned before. After hearing the name Kang Pildu, every board member is shocked because he is also a potential presidential candidate. The chairperson ends the meeting here and urges Pildu to stay behind as he wants to talk to him alone. After everyone leaves the room, the chairperson advises Pildu to not overwork himself and asks if he has gotten a scouting offer or something. Pildu denies it, then the chairperson asks why is he obsessed with this case. After hearing this, Pildu is reminded of a memory where he is explaining a woman that he is not obsessed, but it is his duty to investigate if there are crimes being committed. The woman replies that she knows that, but asks him to turn a blind eye to this one time. Pildu replies that someone has to do it. He says that he is busy, and asks the woman to go back. The woman begs Pildu and asks to give it up, otherwise she feels like even he won't be able to stop this. Pildu is clearly not happy with her words. Then it is revealed that the woman is Pildu's mother, and with a sad face, she asks if Pildu will listen to her just this once. Returning to present, Pildu replies to the chairperson that he has no other reason and he is just doing his job. The chairperson says that Kang Pildu is a presidential candidate, and if things go wrong, the entire public prosecutor's office might start on the wrong foot with the future president. He says that Pildu will probably say he don't care. With a grin on his face, he says that other prosecutors' life are at stake here and asks him to leave the case as it is. Then he gets a call from Kang Pildu. He picks it up and started talking to him in a very friendly manner. He tells Ildo that he talked about the matter with prosecutor Pildu and he don't have to worry about the matter anymore. Seeing the chairperson talk with Mr. Kang, Pildu starts to walk away. Then after hearing a news he gets quiet and with a worried face he replies that he will relay the message to Pildu. The chairperson stops Pildu and asks him if he didn't get the message that his mother has died. After hearing this news Pildu gets stunned. The scene shifts to the funeral hall, and at someone's funeral there was notice that they are not accepting any visitors as per the family's request, and it was none other than Pildu's mother's funeral. Next we see that some men are clearing the funeral place of Pildu's mother, and a man is urging them to hurry it up. A man asks his boss that it's not even 3 days yet, is he sure about this? The boss replies that what's the point of it when not even an aunt visited here. He says that it's enough that they even set up a funeral because higher-ups don't even care about it. Then one of the men asks what to do with the portrait and other stuff. While shouting, he replies to just throw it out, and his underling starts to throw the stuff away. In the midst of chaos, a person walks inside and it's none other than our MC, Kang Pildu. The boss shouts and says that they are not taking any visitors and asks him to leave, but Pildu just stands there staring at her mother's portrait lying on the ground. The boss shouts again asking him, who is he, and asks him to leave. Pildu throws his prosecutor's ID at them and upon seeing it they get annoyed. Pildu says that he wants to know how her mother died, but it seems that higher-ups have already gotten their hands on it, because Pildu was not able to figure out anything. A memory is shown where Pildu went to the mortuary and sees the autopsy report of his mother. He thinks that people can lie, but documents can't. While taking out the report he says that, you people did their job really messily, and while looking at the report asks was this all necessary? With all that they did to his mother, he's sure that her mother couldn't even scream for the help. He says, they must have stabbed her without a break. A flashback is shown again where we see that some people in black suit are giving a scary look to Pildu's mother while she is lying bleeding on the ground. One man says to other men present there to finish her off and clean this up quickly as someone is waiting for them outside. Back to present, Pildu says that they must think that they must have done a great job. But they missed something. His mother swallowed something while dying, because something was stuck in her throat. The boss orders one of his men to go at Pildu. The man approaches Pildu while shouting and asking if he has a warrant to come here, and does he have any proof that it was them that killed his mother. He puts his hand on Pildu's shoulder asking him to leave. Pildu grabs the man's hand and twists one of his finger, and while the man was busy screaming, Pildu kicks him in the face, making him fly back and fall to the ground. Angry, the boss takes his knife out saying that Pildu just made a big mistake. He lunges to stab Pildu, but he dodges it, and punches him at the forehead so hard that he flies at least a few meters away. Pildu then says that you people are the one who made a grave mistake, and he doesn't feel like to do it with law anymore. The remaining trash mobs are preparing to fight, and Pildu while giving a death stare says that, from now on, he is doing it his own way, and anyone who gets in his way is dead. At Seonhwa Group, in a meeting, the third son, Kang Taegu says that Pildu fucked everyone at the funeral, and asks are they not going to do anything. The second son Kangmu says that it won't be good for the presidential election. Shouldn't they do something before things gets worse? The first son Kang Chawuk agrees with his brothers and says that they shouldn't just sit back and watch. And he asks his father what to do with Pildu. Their father while remembering a memory says that it's no different for his own child, and orders to kill Pildu, like they did to everyone who got in their way. The scene shifts, and we see some people come out of a restaurant after having the dinner. They are acquainted with each other since high school. While they are saying their farewell to each other, Pildu walks past them. Then one of the men notices Pildu and while tapping on his mate's back, asks if that guy isn't him. His mate was confused. Then the man explains, remember back in 12th grade, there was a guy who stabbed a bully in the eye, saying he was loud. And they continued walking while talking about him, but the third person continued staring at Pildu. The glasses guy says how could he forget him, he was known as Kang Pildu, the psychopath. A flashback is shown from the glasses guy's point of view. Back in the school days, he was being bullied by the fatty bully. He was going to shove the cigarette in his eyes, while he was pleading fatty to let him go. At that moment a teacher came, scolding them for bunking the classes. The teacher also notices them smoking and asks the bullies to come to teacher's office with him. Then the fatty makes an obvious excuse, that he was just asking for the kid's PE uniform, and at the same moment he flexes his muscles. Seeing the fatty's muscles, the teacher gets a little scared, and while coughing he asks them to not do it again, and then he walks away. While the glasses guy remained in despair. Fatty with a scary look warns him not to act up, and if he time to time gives him some share of money from the government funds he receives for being poor, then he can make his school life comfortable. Then the fatty breaks his glasses by stepping on it, and they walk away while making fun of him. The kid remained sitting there in despair. While he was wearing his broken glasses, Pildu comes near, asking him to move out of his way, because he is in his way of throwing trash. The glasses guy, depressed, while taking out a knife from his box, says what's the point of throwing trash anyway, when the trash that needs to be cleared remain as is. He said this because he wanted someone to know that he chose death because of those bullies, and while crying he was about to cut his wrist, then Pildu, while opening the gate, says, "No one's going to know if he did that." He looks at Pildu with tears in his eyes. Pildu says that he will get rid of trash for him as he is on cleaning duty today. And later that day the incident happened, when Pildu stabbed the fatty with a pen in the eye. Pildu menacingly looks at the student gathered outside the class because of the commotion. We see that the glasses guy is also standing in the crowd. He wonders if Pildu stabbed the fatty just because of him. He was not able to tell his friend that Pildu did this because of him as he was scared of Pildu. Back to present, the glasses guy sees Pildu walk away, and then he also walks away with his colleagues. Pildu walks into an apartment complex. While standing outside his apartment, he just glares at the security lock at the door. Then he walks into his apartment. As he was going in, a man suddenly comes and tries to stab him. But Pildu grabs the knife with his bare hands, and his hand starts bleeding. We see the guy struggling to free the knife. Pildu advises him to maybe remove his shoes off before going to someone else's home, so it does not show that he's there. He releases the knife and then grabs the man's hand, swinging him around the shoulder and fall him onto the ground, and the man becomes unconscious after hitting the ground. Another man approaches Pildu with a knife. He asks who sent them, but the man says why does he care, he's going to die soon anyway. Pildu walks up to him, and next we see him lying on the ground holding his neck, while it bleeds like a fountain. Pildu walks towards a man who is sitting on the chair, drinking the alcohol. The man says that he must be Prosecutor Kang, and asks if a bottle of soju is all he got, because he thought Kang would be richer. Then he walks up to Pildu, and sarcastically asks if he is sure he is a prosecutor. He says he was going to settle for cheap as he thought Pildu will probably a bookworm. But looking at the current situation, it seems like he have to settle for a new price with the contractor. This is the reason why the man never trusts South Koreans, and while he was saying this, we see a woman lying in the washroom after being assaulted. Pildu asks if that woman is also included in their deal. The man replies that he brought her from the apartment below to make an alibi for Pildu. A junkie corrupt prosecutor, attempting to violate a neighboring woman sexually, that will be the headline for tomorrow's newspaper, and the man asks does Pildu like this headline. Pildu says that the man lacks creativity, nowadays that's not enough. With a psycho look he says, you'd at least have to kill her parents to grab their attention. The man says, here I thought I was the scum, he have to ask to be paid more than this later. The scene shifts to Seonhwa Group. A bald man while addressing someone says that the man will do his job cleanly as long as he is paid, but nonetheless you have to clear the mess you have left behind. He says if a son has become a prosecutor then he should pay solid support his father, how dare he betray his own father, and asks the assemblyman Kang if he thinks the same. The baldy further says that, if things go wrong, even he would not be able to avoid taking responsibility, and the higher-ups won't just watch anymore. Since he climbed from rock bottom he'd know it better than anyone what would happen in the end. He asks him to not take his words personally. Since the presidential elections are around the corner, things have to be wrapped up neatly and he'd have to bury what he did in the past. Ildo walks up to him and then he says that, to bury his past he had to dig out whole of the South Korea. Is he okay with that? Baldy says that he is not here to joke. Ildo replies that he didn't make it this far with the jokes either. He says, should I teach you how to survive in rock bottom? It's simple. With a menacing looks he says that he never spared anyone who gets in his way, no exceptions, not even family. After hearing this the baldy starts to sweat heavily. Ildo leans towards the baldy, and says that Pildu is not someone who he can take care of, and advises him not to get in his way before he bury the baldy alive. Scared, Baldy says that he did it for Assemblyman Kang, but it looks like he didn't think that far ahead. While sweating buckets, Baldy say that he will call the man right now and ask him to back off. At Pildu's apartment, we see a man lying dead, and the phone rings near him. Pildu picks it up, and the Baldy, not knowing it is Pildu on the other side, shouts why did he answer so later and what happened to Pildu. Then the Baldy gets speechless for a moment and then, while sweating buckets, he gives the phone to Assemblyman Kang, saying that he wants to talk to you. Ildo takes it and answers the call. He says that Pildu studied hard to become a prosecutor, yet he is not smart enough to realize. If he had learned how to read the room, then Ildo after becoming the president would have given Pildu the position of prosecutor general which others can't even dream of. Ildo asks why Pildu did that. Is it just because of the incident regarding his mother? Pildu replies, he don't think that his father quite understand what his mother's death meant to him. The only reason he was able to withstand everything was because his mother acted as a safety pin for him. But now, someone has taken that away from him. We see him standing on a rooftop facing opposite of his apartment, and inside his apartment, we see the man beaten up and tied with a rope. When he regains the consciousness, he tries to free himself from the ropes and then he smells that gas is leaking from somewhere. And then we see that Pildu's apartment goes boom with a loud explosion, engulfing the man in the flames, while Pildu just stands there witnessing the explosion. Pildu says to his father that now, he will kill everyone involved in his mother's death, no exceptions, not even family. Ildo laughs cunningly and says now he is acting like his son. The paramedics and firefighter arrive at the site of the explosion. The woman who was assaulted is lying on the stretcher calling out to her mom. Her mother asks the paramedics that, is her daughter going to be okay? They reply that she doesn't need to be concerned too much, because the person who reported the incident perfectly performed first aid on her. Then 2 police officers came for some questioning. They say that this is murder case, and asks the woman that was anyone else was there aside the 3 people who died at the crime scene? The woman while fumbling replies that she think there was one more person, she can't really remember. The police asks about the specifics of the 4th person. She describes that he looked like a young man, with black hair and in a suit, and also he had those bloody red eyes like a devil. While walking away, Pildu comments, no matter what the world thinks of me, I am a bad son, and then he gives a death stare.
And now, folks, it's time to say goodnight. We sincerely appreciate your patronage and hope we've succeeded in bringing you an enjoyable evening of entertainment. Please drive home carefully and come back again soon.